Win-win solutions sound pretty fantastical. Is this just a bit of a unicorn here?
No, of course it's not. Win-win solutions happen every day in free markets. You know, people only buy things because they need them, they want them, and usually that is a win-win. You buy what you need, and the person selling it to you is glad to make a profit for providing you with those goods. Look, the situation is we can't proceed any longer with people who rent homes in despair of ever buying, sometimes in despair even of saving up the deposit that they need. So what we need to do is realign people's incentives, give people the power to say no, but the incentives to say yes. So what this paper is doing is saying that the planning bill should give local people supplementary powers to say yes to development where they can see that it is in their interests. And I think that's very much to be welcomed, because all of the time we have a state land use planning system which sets homeowners against those who want to be new entrants buying a home. All the time that continues, we're going to have the kind of deadlock and political crisis that we've seen over planning indefinitely.
There has been an extraordinary degree of deadlock and political crisis. There have been so many attempts under successive governments to fix what is, I think, most people recognise is a completely broken planning system, and they have just simply failed and failed again. Is this one going to be radical enough to have long-term change sort of set in, but also moderate enough that it's able to pass the House of Commons? It's an incredibly tricky tightrope to walk.
Well, it is a tricky tightrope, but what I would say is actually profoundly conservative. It harks back to some of the ideas which were around before the 1947 Town and Country Planning Act. Let's not forget that we often talk about place. We often talk about the areas of our country, the towns, the cities, the neighbourhoods that we most value. And I would say, in my experience, thinking about my own constituency of Wickham, the places we most value are the ones which emerged spontaneously before they were planned by councils. And I think that's a challenge for everybody. We should be thinking about the rights of those who own property and also the desires of those who wish to own property and move into it. And if we had a system whereby there's a win-win, that those who are in homes get the opportunity to say yes to development that benefits those who are coming in, I think actually it is possible to see that in the past, in a very conservative way, areas developed in ways which suited everybody. And in fact, they're some of our most precious areas today. So I think that it shouldn't be thought of as radical. It should be a recognition that having councils impose development on the public isn't working. It isn't going to work. And what we need to do is change people's incentives.
And some of the most beautiful places in this country are actually those sort of streets that were built up over hundreds of years, and sort of the lovely little nooks and crannies and cobbled areas. I mean, these areas are sort of really quite human when they're not necessarily directly imposed by government but built up by communities. I was reading a piece of yours in, I believe it was The Telegraph over the weekend, where you said that the Tories really can't afford to give up on planning reform. You seem to be pretty clear-headed that unless more houses are built, unless this country can maintain itself as a property-owning democracy, your party may well be in a bit of electoral peril. Do your colleagues agree with you?
I think people do realise that we'll be in peril, but we're in peril on both sides of the argument, of course, because homeowners will put us in peril when they don't like the planning we impose upon them. And young people, of course, need to be given hope. I mean, what is our offer to young people now? On student loans, on housing, on national insurance going up, you know, these are not things which offer hope to young people. Now, I'm absolutely convinced that the Conservative Party, is a party that does believe in freedom, is the party which should be offering hope and aspiration to young people. But that aspiration's got to be founded in really practical things like the opportunity to own your own home. So yes, I do believe the Conservative Party is in electoral peril, both in the short and the long run, if we don't sort out this problem created by councils having the power to impose development on neighbourhoods who don't want it. It's creating endless conflict, and we need to admit that it's time to learn from great Nobel laureates like Elinor Ostrom, who show us how communities can take over and have more power to do what is a win-win for them and for those who wish to buy.
Now, just finally and very quickly, there's a new housing secretary and a new mega housing department. Do you believe that Michael Gove might be receptive to this report?
Well, I hope Michael is. I certainly will write to him and make sure that he has seen it. And obviously we want to talk about it. Michael's got a great track record of delivery in government. And I would think that if anyone can sort out the planning system in government, then it will be Michael. But my hope is that he will do it by recognising that people's incentives need to be aligned, and that actually, as a Conservative Party, we really do believe in people power. It's something we've said throughout my time as an MP. I now want to make it very real.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.